So we're just going to do a quick update on the beach sampling results, and then discuss sharing Oregon State University's infographic. And later we'll put the link to that infographic in the chat for everyone, and I can share it too. And then we also want you to receive more information on the sediment riverbank sampling, as I mentioned, and there'll be an opportunity for discussion on that as well. And then just always, we'll be checking on areas where additional clarification and follow-up is needed from us on this work as we go forward. And so if you have questions, we'll share the space, but feel free to raise your hand virtually or on the screen, and Alyssa and I will catch that, or feel free to put your question in the chat too, and we'll get to you. But this is informal, and you can do it at any time. Questions at any time are good, just to remind everyone. So really quickly, to start with the beach sampling piece, but overall, I want to give just an overall status of where we're at with all the sampling. And Josie, feel free to jump in here. But a lot of you who were on the March 31st call saw this. But just to recap, the sediment, beach, and riverbank sampling is all complete. That occurred last fall, August through November of 2021. And so, as I said before, we started talking about the beach sampling results, as soon as Josie had finished processing them preliminarily in March. And just to recap, especially for Marcus, who's the technical advisor for the Willamette River Advocacy Group and the Willamette River Advocacy Group, who directs Marcus, the draft evaluation report for all the sampling results, it's anticipated will be coming out late summer. So this is a slight change. I think Josie right now you're thinking like maybe late August, right? Possibly, tentatively. Is that right?
Yeah, we just finished last week shipping the last of the samples to the labs to get those analyzed. And that's about a 3-month term before we have that data in hand and it's validated and it's ready to be used. So yes, I think August is on the optimistic side.
Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And then, when we'll share that, Marcus, with you, and we'll share it, with this group and too for questions, but specifically, Marcus, with you and the RAG, and if the RAG decides to direct you to review it for interest and understanding, that's the thought there. No official comments would be given to us, but we talked about that a couple work group meetings ago. And then the final evaluation report would be published sometime in the fall. And that's when we have talked about on this work group having some kind of in-person education event to discuss and explain the sampling results more broadly, even though the fall might be a little chilly, but we'll see. So that's just a quick timeline update, just to overall of the project. And then going on, but I guess I'll pause really quickly. Any questions just on this overall timeline? This is very similar to what we showed last time, but any questions? Okay, and we'll dive in more. So the beach sampling results, we don't need to spend too much time on this necessarily, but I want to just circle back to our conversation before we go to Josie and have some more time for her to dive into the riverbank and sediment coring results, the preliminary results. So really quick recap of what we talked about in the March 31st Cathedral Park Project Area Working Group meeting. That was a big meeting because we did talk about the beach sampling results from EPA's initial sampling on the beach in fall of 2021, and a couple, big takeaway messages from that. And Alyssa is going to put the actual direct link to that video recording where we really dived into that pretty deeply in the chat. So thank you, Alyssa, for putting that in there. So if you were not at that meeting and would like to see what happened at the beach sampling discussion, please take a look at that, and let Josie and I know if you have any questions. And Doug, I'll come to you in just a second. But the two main takeaways from that were that, EPA, we have really great confidence in the 2021 beach sampling results because It was very comprehensive. All of you, helped us think through that sampling work. So again, thank you. And also that the sampling results on the beach from this most recent study, they are not of immediate concern to human health, and nor do they trigger immediate action from EPA. So those are the very, very broad brush takeaway strokes. And I know a lot of you know a lot more details because we went into a lot more detail from that meeting. But Josie, did you want to add anything before we go to Doug?
No, I think that's the nugget. And anyone's always welcome. If you've got more questions after, you can always reach out to me if you watch the video and then have questions.
Thanks.
So this is a quick question for Josie on the in-water sampling. We all got pretty involved in the beach, so I feel pretty comfortable with that. You saw that there was a sewer overflow on the Cathedral Park outlet. It was about a week ago.
I didn't.
And I was wondering if in the course of doing your in-water sampling, you located the mouth of that pipe. It's supposed to be about 100 yards off the beach.
We know where the one is. Yeah, I've got, and when I show the riverbank and sediment core, when I give that update, there's a map that I'm going to show that shows where that outfall is.
So you probably got samples somewhere in close proximity then?
Yep.
Most people aren't aware that most of the sewage from St. John's doesn't go into the big pipe. We've got our own pipe that goes along the railroad bed and down around the corner to the treatment plant. So it's a lot smaller capacity, and being an old neighborhood, they haven't transitioned stormwater completely out of the sewer. So these big storms that we get now, there's more possibility for all that to wash into the river. But because this was an industrial area and all the street drains empty out through that, the old ones, there's the potential for sediment contamination out there. So I'll be curious when you get results.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that detail.
Thank you, Doug. And that's a good foreshadowing because Josie will be going more into detail just about the riverbank and sediment cores in just a second. But just wanted to share, so Alyssa will put this link in the chat. I don't think Diana Rollman is on today, but that's okay. So just FYI, this is an infographic that many of you on this call, I know Laura, Cassie, I'm trying to think, and I know like some of the agency folks, so Todd and Jessica, and Kyle, I think, and Josie have seen this infographic over the last 3 years. So I know it's taken a really long time to finalize this on Diana's end, but it is final, and there is a link to it that Alyssa just put in the chat. And this is what it looks like, what I'm showing on the screen here. So we just, at our last meeting, talked about this infographic and how best, we could share it as members of the working group. And so Alyssa is going to share her screen in just a second, just because we're going to revisit the discussion very briefly on the infographic piece. And Alyssa, this doesn't need to take very long, but I want to give some space for this because I think it's really important. And a lot of you had some really good ideas for how to share this infographic. So thank you, Alyssa, for sharing your screen when you get a chance. So we just, the main question here is, how best to share OSU's infographic for Cathedral Park. And last time, I took some of the ideas that we generated in this working group last time and put them here. So there's a few ideas. One is, to place at Cathedral Park, actually physically. And there was another idea to put, a link to this infographic on the EPA Portland Harbor story map. And so I, thought that maybe we could put it specifically in the summary section for the Cathedral Park cleanup area, which we can show later. I can put that link in the chat. But first, I just wanted to see if there were any other broader, ideas, and we can talk briefly about placing it at Cathedral Park in just a second. But any other broad ideas on how we could share the infographic besides placing it at Cathedral Park? Or, Laura, I know sometimes you've like shared them, put them up in places around the St. John's area. So I know Diana, even though she's not on, she said that they'd be able to print some copies of this. So I just wanted to see if there are any other broad thoughts before we keep going that I can help take notes on or facilitate helping achieve. Doug?
So a couple obvious things. The fish advisory at the turnaround going into the park is totally unreadable at this point. So I'm not quite sure who put up the original sign, but right in that location with the trees right in back of it would be a good spot for any kind of infographic. The other thing would be to put it on the EPA website and then just run a little reminder of that on Nextdoor once a week so people would think to look at it. So it looks like I froze for a minute there.
Those are, yeah, good idea. And then and then also, so your first idea was to put it like over the top, basically just attach it to the existing fish advisory sign that's not very legible anymore.
You could either put it over the top, or you could, in the process of talking to whatever agency put that up,
yeah,
they could clean up their advisory and you could put one right next to it.
Yeah, Todd, Doug did say your fish advisory sign is illegible. Is it graffitied over?
I don't remember it being illegible. Maybe I haven't really looked at it in a while. I'm wondering.
Well, you were down there the other night when we did the walking tour. So
yeah,
the plastic covering on it has gotten really abraded. So
that's not the fish advisory though, is it? That's the welcome to Cathedral Park thing.
Well, they were both, all of them were
okay.
Pretty illegible at this point.
All right. I just didn't notice. That's fine. Doesn't hurt to spruce it up or to cover it up.
Well, there's room to put another one alongside it. It's all relevant information.
Thank you. Sorry, my internet went out for a second, but I heard the tail end of that, and thanks, Alyssa, for keeping going. And Laura.
Yeah, I'm gonna say putting it up at the boat launch area maybe by the restrooms, any place that people might go to there. I say the more the merrier with that infographic.
It's a good idea. Jessica and Kyle, is that and Marcus, I see your hand too. Is that something that you think is feasible, or something I could like follow up with you on with Diana if we talked a little more about how that might work? Or
should be able to work with you on that. Yeah, it's definitely something we can talk about and kind of figure out what might be possible.
Okay.
Kyle, did you just say that? I couldn't hear you. Also, I just realized I may have just been talking over you. I apologize. I
think I said it 1 second before you.
Okay.
Thanks. That's good.
You get the point then.
That sounds good. Yeah, and I'm wondering to keep it like whether we should think, Alyssa, if you could put something about maybe keeping it, weather resistant. Somehow we can think about that. I'm not exactly sure. Jessica and Kyle, we can think about that, and I can talk to Diana about maybe that too. Marcus.
Yeah, and you can print on weather resistant. So I was just wondering, like, kind of along the same lines, if there are any like good websites for people that visit, you know, whether it's like people that boat, or or the photography piece, or just like how do you get it out to more people that are visiting the site, like electronically, which is an easy kind of ask if they're willing to put it up there. And then kind of outside of next door, if there, I know there's a Cathedral Park Facebook site, or if there are other ones that the community uses, you can put like files in like the resources section of Facebook, so it's always there.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Awesome. And is it, I know I had just put out that idea, you know, because I know it's been done before, of like, of putting these up in, you know, like the copy shop or like the library. Is that something people still think is a good idea to do with this flyer, or maybe not with this? I'm just wondering, kind of in terms of how printing and stuff, if that's something that would, that
yeah,
people,
of course.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Cassie. Sounds good. Okay, cool.
I added something in the chat there that I think the city has a mailer. Jessica, you probably know more about it. I don't know how often it goes out, maybe from the Water Bureau or BES. I don't know if it's BES and Water Bureau combined or what, to utility ratepayers, and I think that should be included in that. It goes out to all households.
Thanks, Cassie.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, to include the infographic in the mailer?
Correct.
Yeah, we can definitely talk to folks to see what might be possible.
And I think also to include it on the CAG newsletter and PHCC's newsletter that goes out too, or on your websites as well. RAG too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry about that. Somehow I'm coming in and out of it. So it was clarified that the infographic, that's what Cassie had said, the infographic would be going in the mailer. That got clarified. Okay. And then Todd, I just want to make sure, I think Doug, you said that the fish advisory sign was damaged, and you saw Todd's note in the chat about sending him a picture.
I did see the notes in the chat. It's not so much damaged, it's just weathered really badly. It's probably been, that particular sign's probably been up 5-6 years anyway.
Yeah, about 20, I think 2013 or 14. Yeah, we've got I know we have one more. So if it's that bad, I'll see. I'll get that going if possible.
Francisco will be down in the park tomorrow. Maybe she'll be free to send you a photograph of it so you can evaluate.
I'll be down there tomorrow. So I better yet, don't send me an email. I'll save you. I'll be down there myself. So
perfect.
Thanks.
Awesome. And Barbara, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I just have a question about that. Is this the same infographic that was started a few years back that was on PAHs?
This is a different one.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that one.
Okay.
Yeah, but good memory. Diana also worked on that one. For
okay.
ESD.
One other place you might consider putting it, the Cathedral Park Neighborhood Association is going to probably have a meet and greet in June. And so it would be nice to have some copies on hand, maybe. It's probably going to be at a brewery or something like that. So, but it'd be nice to have some copies on hand to just hand people or have them be able to look at it.
That's great. Are you helping? You're planning to be there, Barbara?
Yeah, I'm planning to be there. So
great. So we got you some copies.
Yeah, you can send me some copies, and I can send them on to the neighborhood chair.
Great. Thank you so much. That's a great idea. And Cassie?
I had a request that the city let us know if you cannot send it out through the Water Bureau mailer and why not, just to report back to us basically. Can you do that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and then I also think it should go on the City of Portland Harbor page, and I think it should go on the parks, Portland Parks and Recreation Cathedral Park page.
You said the City of Portland Harbor page, and the second one.
And then the Portland Parks and Recreation web page for, they have, each park has its own page. Cathedral Park has a page, so it needs to go on the Cathedral Park page.
Once Susan has the Frog Ferry up and running, it'd be nice to have a bulletin board inside the door that we could post river related stuff on. That'd be a great resource, Susan.
A great idea. You can
Her
pass
computer overheated, so she's gonna come back once it's cooled.
Yeah, we can pass that along to her though. I know Alyssa is doing a great job of taking some notes here. Thank you, Alyssa. So we'll pass that idea along too. Cassie, did you have another idea too?
No, sorry. No,
that's okay. All right. This is great. So we will thank you for generating these ideas, and some of them I know will require me and Alyssa to follow up with. Thanks, Jessica, for putting that in the chat. So we'll also, Jessica, when we check in, we can also follow up on some of these together. And thank you. Oh, I was gonna say, I think Todd, I know that the Cathedral Park OHA website is linked on the infographic, but did you already put this infographic on your website too for Cathedral Park? If not, maybe we'll just put that on here, Alyssa, too.
We haven't, but we can put it on.
Okay.
We'll
put that on here too, just to track. Thank you. Thanks, Todd.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. So we'll, we have all of these tracked, and thank you, Alyssa, for taking notes on this. And at our next working group meeting, I will take the point on reporting out kind of where we are with all of this, and I'll follow up with Diana Rollman too, to get some of those copies going.